Alisson Becker is hands down the best goalkeeper I've ever watched in my time as a Liverpool fan, but at the same time, he's also the most frustrating in how injury prone he is. So, the update from Arne Slot today was that Alisson Becker won't be back for either of the PSG games. So, not never mind the first leg next week, which is at the Parc des Princes, but also the return leg at Anfield. Alisson will miss both, which is a big blow for Liverpool Football Club. You'll remember last season, he was the standout, the man of the match in the first leg, which was away from home, just like it is this time around. He made some unbelievable saves, and I think that's the best goalkeeping performance I've seen from a Liverpool goalkeeper in my lifetime, at least. I was there that day, and they should have scored 4, 5, 6. That's how dominant PSG were. But Alisson Becker was just absolutely unstoppable that day, and that's how we stayed in the tie, if we're being honest. And unfortunately, I don't know what it is. Slot said in his press conference that he's only going to be fit towards the end of the season. And then Alisson later on Twitter said, quote, "I didn't suffer a new injury. I'm in the treatment phase. And the plan is to be in full playing condition by the end of April." So that means either the Crystal Palace game at home, which is end of April, or beginning of May, which is away at United. That is the possible. That's on May 3rd at Old Trafford. So he could be back for either of those. But obviously, it's a huge blow. And that is towards the end of the season, because this is the run in right now. Like, this is it. This is where we have a chance to make this season special or not. We have about a month and a half to 2 months left in this season. So the fact that he's out for pretty much this whole month is a huge blow, because he has that X factor about him. He has the experience. We know, he steps up in the big games. And, I do think this injury is another reminder that we just have to prepare for the future. We did trigger that extension in his contract, which means he's going to be here till 2027. But I think already for the present moment, we have to see if Mamardashvili is up to be the number one. And obviously, if we spent that amount of money on Georgi Mamardashvili, we believe he has the potential to be Liverpool's number one. And where I do feel for Georgi, because I do think there's been criticism. A lot of people online are saying they don't think he's good enough to be the Liverpool number one. I think what's really difficult for him is the fact that he's coming after Alisson Becker, who's, like I said, the greatest Liverpool goalkeeper I've seen in my lifetime. So whoever comes after a great, the most complete goalkeeper you can imagine, there's going to be a lot of pressure because people are going to be comparing to Alisson. They're going to be saying, look how safe we felt with Alisson. Look at us now. There's always going to be those comparisons in a post-Alisson era. Just like in a post-Klopp era, there's always the comparisons to the football we used to play and the intensity and all those things. But then B, what's really difficult too is our number two all these years was absolute class for us in Kelleher. He obviously ended up leaving because he wanted to be a number one. But every time it felt like Ali got injured over those years, we were comfortable because of how good Kelleher was, especially in cup competitions, because there's a decent chance you're going to end up, going to a penalty shootout or whatever else, and he's unbelievable at those. But yeah, I think that's where it's hard for Mamardashvili, the fact that there's those two players that he's kind of coming after, and so there is real pressure in that sense. And he's definitely going to be tested. I mean, you just look at our next two away games. I don't think it gets much harder than that. I don't think you can have a bigger test as a goalkeeper than City away and PSG away. City are going to play attacking football at the Etihad. Look at their second half against Arsenal. City look at their best when they're going at it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what they'll try to do against Liverpool. I absolutely think that's what they're going to try to do against us, because also we're so vulnerable defensively and our mentality isn't what it used to be. So there's those two different aspects. But then also the PSG game, obviously first leg, they will remember how they performed in the first leg last season, and they'll be thinking, if Alisson didn't have, like I said, that once in a generation almost performance, I don't even want to exaggerate, because like I said, for me, it's the best I've seen in my lifetime, then we should have scored many more. So let's do something similar to what we did last season. And if they do that, boys, Mamardashvili got to be at the top of his game. So I think this truly is, this next month is going to be the ultimate test for Mamardashvili to see, for him to get all the Liverpool fans on board and at the same time, obviously, it's the same for kind of Slot and this Liverpool team. I think kind of everything's on the line. Like, genuinely, the next two games could decide our energy for the next two. Like, we're about to play in the space, what, of 5 days about? Because think about it, we're playing Saturday, then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's on Wednesday, right? About 4 or 5 days, right? In between. In a 4 to 5 day period, our season could either be turn into a great season where everybody is like on back in believe mode and buzzing, or it could go to like the lowest of lows because already we're feeling low, but then it would feel like we have nothing to kind of grasp onto in terms of hope. So it's just crazy how football is, but that's what happens when you get to this stage of the season. These are the games that decide your season. It's just unfortunate for us. You look at the other FA Cup draws, like for Arsenal, and you look at us, like it's so tough. You know, our quarterfinal is City away, and then, like I said, quarterfinal of the Champions League, PSG away. Arsenal, I forget who. I think in the FA Cup it's Southampton away, and then Champions League Sporting. So a different level of opposition, if we're being honest, you know. So we also got the tougher part. But the thing with Liverpool this season, it's so odd, is it genuinely feels like the games that we're supposed to win and that we kind of feel confident going into, we don't. And then games where there's almost like no hope and no expectation, Liverpool turn up. So I pray and hope that that's what ends up being the case, because if it is, then obviously, like I said, I think we couldn't. The belief that would come back within the fan base would be absolutely unbelievable. What would happen in these next, like I said, literally 4 to 5 days. But Mamardashvili is going to have to play a big part, because, like I said, I absolutely think that City and PSG are going to create high XG against us. They're going to create a high number of chances, and Mamardashvili will have to be at the top of his game, you know. And I do think that he, especially as a shot stopper, that he's a top class shot stopper. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the mentality. That's the biggest thing I want to see Mamardashvili dealing with, because obviously he did play in high caliber games at Valencia, you know, like he did play against the likes of Real Madrid and Barca, and he performed so well, and at the Euros with Georgia, with his nation, for example. But I do think this is a different level now in terms of pressure. And we know the hardest part of goalkeeping is the pressure, the mental side, because sometimes you're not going to be involved in the game for 35 minutes, and then there's the key chance, and if you save it or not, it can decide the game, you know. So mentally, I think goalkeeping can be the toughest position, and the pressure that he's going to be under is like he's never experienced in his career before, you know what I mean? Because this is just the actual the amount of people that watch Liverpool compared to Valencia is night and day. And then the Champions League quarterfinals like is also different caliber against the current champions of Europe in PSG, you know what I mean? So it kind of doesn't get bigger than that, you know, club football level. So it's going to be interesting, and all of our eyes will be on that, obviously. And yeah, it's so unfortunate with Ali. I don't think that we can really feel like we can count on Ali anymore with the, you know, with how injury prone he's become. And I feel for him, because, you know, with his mentality, he definitely will be doing the right things behind the scenes, just as body is letting him down. Because everything you hear about his professionalism and his mentality, you best believe it's not something that's, you know, that could easily be prevented. Otherwise, he'd be doing everything he can. You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, let me know how you're feeling with Georgi Mamardashvili stepping up for this next month, which will decide our season, this month of April, you know? And if you believe in our number 2, or now I guess he's going to become our number 1. And yeah, I pray, guys, I will pray tonight that we can do something against City and PSG, because, like I said, our moods will so be decided in these next few days. It's crazy to think, but that's the life of being a Liverpool supporter or a football fan. You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night and beginning of the weekend. I will see y'all very, very soon. Up the Reds. You'll never walk alone. Ciao, guys.